This is part 1 of a 4-part collaborative podcast. When the video is over, go find the link in the description to find the playlist to watch the rest of the podcast.
You're listening to Hometown FM.
Yay! I'm Black Chestnut, and with me I have Zenny, Dante's
Hey.
Integrity,
Hello.
Taruba, and Kiwi Mora. Kiwi, say something.
Kiwi.
Oh, I'm supposed. Okay, hey, I'm Kiwi.
It's okay, we're gonna keep that in.
Yes, we're keeping this in.
We're adding that in. No,
Yeah, we're keeping that in. I'm not redoing it.
no.
Yeah,
We'll do proper introductions now, I think. It's
Yes.
better that way. So, Chestnut, if you could, please.
Yes. Today we're going to be talking about the Deltarune trailer, and then all the additional screenshots that came along with it in like the press kit, and then going over the newsletter and a bunch of other stuff and theories and our final thoughts before the release of the game. Big, exciting, collaborative podcast today. It's going to be really fun to listen to. I'm sure of it, even though I have no idea what any of us are going to say yet, because we haven't said it yet.
Yeah.
But who are you?
No,
You gotta
but
introduce
if you don't
yourself.
know who I am, I'm Black Chestnut. I am the second most powerful Chris Knighter in the world, just so everyone knows. Of course, the first being Toby Fox himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
He
All
told me in
right.
his
Well,
dreams.
hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Zenny, and I'm a member of Chestnut's server. I did all of the artwork that you see in front of us here. I did the PNG tubers for everyone. And I'm not typically a Deltarune theorist, but I decided, hey, let me give it a try. Sounds like fun. And here I am. So yeah, hope everyone enjoys the things that I have to say.
That's the fucker who turned my ass into a projector.
Projecting much?
Yes. Why? Hi. Hello there. Salutations. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good night. I'm Dante. I am as Chestnut is Chris Knight's strongest warrior, I am the second strongest Chris Knight propagandist, the first one being Toby Fox himself. I am a YouTuber by the name of Dante's Integrity. You'll probably know me by you know me on the internet.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, howdy. I'm the goat. I go by Sharuba in a lot of places. I just go by Sharuba. I just kind of do whatever sometimes. I make a lot of music and other shit. And I've been like in the Deltarune theorist community in a while now, and I'm a big Chris Knighter, and I also kind of expanded on with that theory and came up with like Chris, Susie, and Noel being the knight and stuff. And this is where I am in a podcast.
Yes.
Hello,
This
I
is-
am Kiwi Mora. I love to do art and I love Deltarune. I don't make theories that commonly. I'm not very active, but I do love talking about Deltarune, so I tagged along. In the Chris Knight army, I am the field medic and morale booster.
Okay. So
yeah, that's all of us.
with all the introductions out of the way, if no one else has anything else to say about themselves, I guess we'll just move directly into the trailer, correct?
Yeah.
Bah.
Hell yeah. We're
Correct.
moving into the trailer.
Bah.
Who wants to start us off?
Chestnut should do the honors.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if I have to do everything, I guess I'll do everything.
You don't
So
have to do
true.
everything.
So, I just like before we even get into like the actual meat of the trailer, do you want to just talk about the context around it? Because I do kind of want to talk about that for a moment.
I
Yeah,
think
I
it
think
is
so.
important.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds
It
fair.
was
So
Like the 2 Nintendo Directs.
I somehow managed to guess the direct prediction wrong every time.
Every time.
Every time I'm like, oh yeah, Toby's totally gonna drop a trailer today. It's definitely gonna come out this time, and it never came out. And then I was like, it's not gonna be on the Switch 2 presentation. There's just no way it's gonna be at the Switch 2 presentation because it's not coming to the Switch 2. Toby's not gonna delay the game for the Switch 2 release. It's totally gonna be done sooner than the Switch 2 will come out. So he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna want to hold off on releasing it. So it's just not gonna be there. And the upside to that is that when it actually showed up there, I was very surprised.
Yeah, and it was very sudden, right? Like Toby just shows up on screen.
Yeah.
You see his fursuit. Well, I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
calling
the
it a fursuit, by the way.
Yeah.
And you see him in his fursuit, and you're like, wait a minute, this can only mean one thing.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
making a salad in my KitchenAid when like Toby Fox showed up, and I just dropped the knife and just ran to the computer.
It's funny because I was at work.
I did not really think he would like drop the first trailer on a Nintendo Direct. I thought it would release as like standalone, like beforehand. But because it's literally like a launch title or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it does make sense that it released that the trailer was shown at the Direct first.
There's also the
Yeah.
important context that the direct was the day after Thanksgiving. Not Thanksgiving. That's not the day
Thanksgiving.
after
April
April
Fool's Day.
Fools. So like when I
Yeah.
woke up, I was just like, oh, I guess there's some artists made some April Fool's prank. And then I just, got up, went some coffee, uneventful. I sit down and I see, a lot of people are really committing to this Deltarune April Fool's joke.
That's so funny. Bro got fooled.
Yeah, we all got.
There's a reason I watched the Direct.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Not really.
I mean, I think I
Well, see, I
woke
was
up
at
right
work.
after the direct ended.
I was there
funny.
during the Direct.
Yeah,
I
same.
wish I could have watched it live, but unfortunately, it was not a work from home day. So I was in the office, and my phone starts blowing up, and I'm like, that can only mean one thing. That
Yeah.
can only mean that the trailer dropped. And sure enough, I look at my DMs, and there's this waterfall of red dots next to people's profile pictures of people being like, Deltarune today! Deltarune today! Because, like, everyone else in the Deltarune fandom online, I've been committing to the Deltarune Tomorrow bit, tweeting it, posting it on Blue Sky, like, every single night, along with my own little spin of Tonight's the Night, but night spelled Knight. And to explain the context of that one, it was me trying to revive an old Smash Brothers Brawl meme where people would post a picture of Captain Falcon every night and go, Tonight's the night, hoping Captain Falcon would get revealed on the website because he was like one of the last characters to be revealed and people were genuinely worried.
Oh.
So that was me reviving that meme in the context of Deltarune.
Yeah.
We love
I think
bringing
Captain
the past
Falcon's
back.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's important to note that like a week prior there was a regular Nintendo Direct, and I was convinced that we would get a trailer in a Nintendo Direct, it would be in that one, because I'm like, okay, this one's the
Same.
Switch one.
Same.
It's like it's probably gonna be mostly third parties anyway. This is where the Deltarune would be, right? But no. And so when we didn't get the Deltarune trailer in that Direct, I was like, okay, it must be farther away than I think it is. Like, we're not going to get a trailer for at least another 2 to 3 weeks, right? Because it clearly means that it's not ready to be shown yet. Nope, it was just the wrong Direct. I just got the wrong Direct.
Yeah.
And
I would
Hollow
say
Knight showed up too.
Yeah, for
we
like
got
5
Silk
seconds.
Song and
Yeah.
Deltarune on the same day. Insane.
That's very
Yeah, and it's so
It
funny
was.
to see the context between the two
And
trailers,
Rhythm
because
Heaven.
like Deltarune got like a full like 1 minute trailer and like a whole segment dedicated to it, and then Silk Song was in a fucking sizzle reel and showed up for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Well, it's not a
SpongeBob meme,
launch
right?
title. It's
And-
not a launch title though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but there's just like, everyone's excited. Deltarune finally confirmed. The game is so excited, that like so many people showed up to the Direct suddenly that it almost crashed the stream. But like immediately after Deltarune was released, just like, hi, I'm Randy from Gearbox.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Randy!
another thing.
Randy!
Yeah, that was
Apparently,
another
the
thing.
numbers dropped. The numbers dropped like after the trailer.
Well, that's
Yeah,
because
like,
not long
that's-
after it, there was like a huge glitch
Oh yeah,
on Nintendo's
yeah,
end,
it
and the
lagged
server was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was like
terribly.
crashing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It lagged terribly. I
Yeah.
thought it was just me, but no,
I'm
it happened
just-
to everyone.
It was everyone.
But yeah, it was so polarizing to see Deltarune, and after it, just fucking Randy from Gearbox, the
Borderlands.
greasiest
Yeah.
man
Yeah,
alive.
it's so funny because I was watching a lot of reactions, and everybody had the same negative reaction to Randy and Borderlands.
It's so funny. It's just such a fucking. It's
Borderlands
just...
was one of those. It was one of those
My-
like 2010s meme culture things that I just
Yeah.
never got into.
Yeah, same. I like tried Borderlands 2 and I like dropped it after like 30 minutes or something like that.
I think I remember watching my brother play it once.
Yeah, I don't.
I have no
So-
clue what the games are about. I only know Randy.
It's like a
we-
looter
should we
shooter.
move on?
They're not particularly good.
Yeah, we should move on.
Yeah, I
because,
feel like we should
Move on to
Yeah,
the
because,
actual trailer.
Oh
It's
no,
not
the
a
actual
Borderlands podcast.
contents.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the interesting thing about the trailer is that the first like couple seconds of it is like just showing stuff that's not even really in the game, you know? In fact, it doesn't
Yeah.
get
Showing off
into
its cursor.
in-game footage until like 30 seconds in, and then it doesn't get into new footage until like 38 seconds in.
yeah. So it opens with, I think, Chris picking up Susie by the hand, and then
Yes, and
it opens with
Drowsy coming
Toby.
along.
and then Rousey
Yeah.
coming along, and a lot of people have pointed out that Chris doesn't extend their hand to Rousey at all, and they interpret it as like Chris snubbing Rousey. I don't know if I entirely want to read it that way, but it is
I don't think.
interesting.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. One thing I took note of it was that like Chris kind of walks over to Susie. Like Susie's like laying, like is not standing up properly.
I think that's her
and
KO
they're
pose,
like,
right?
yeah.
yeah, and then Chris is going over to them and comforting them.
Mhm.
Like we've seen like from like I think it was like Spanton sweepstakes with the post of like Susie like bullying Chris. Like Noelle seeing that. And then Chris isn't like trying to make fun of her or anything. Like we know Chris wants to like be Susie's friend.
Yes.
And we're seeing more of that here.
Yeah. Whereas Rousey,
Chris
just kind of stares at Rousey.
Yeah, Rousey just kind of shows up.
Yeah, which is pretty funny because like there's like 3 seconds of them staring Rousey down.
Yeah.
It must be so uncomfortable for Rousey.
Yeah, Chris knows Susie is more than just a bully.
I mean, like, I
Yeah.
assume it's probably just like, hey guys, we're in the trailer now. You want to walk up center stage?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are just reading a lot into that one little moment in the trailer that is a moment that does not appear in game at all. That was created entirely for the trailer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It kind of just.
I mean, yeah, I didn't. I thought it was just kind of unimportant at first, but you know, it does show some characterization there.
Yes,
Yeah.
There's still those characters. You know, they shouldn't
Mhm.
act out
Yeah,
of
of
character.
course, yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a cutscene in that style of like when they're in silhouettes, because we got one in chapter 2 when they were talking about Noelle's past with the spelling
Chris
bee,
and Noelle,
right?
Chris and Noelle too.
Yeah, Chris and
When they
Noelle. So
walk.
I feel like we're gonna get those silhouette type of cutscenes in the future. So this cutscene is
I
kind
wonder-
of a taste of what's to come.
I wonder if like those silhouettes mean anything, or is it just like a flashback thing, or
I think it's supposed to be a sort of emotional scene for the characters, so we only get to see their silhouette to interpret everything else around them.
Yeah, it's an artistic liberty, I would say.
Yeah,
It's
that I understand, but I wonder if there's like anything more to it.
I think it really is just like visual flair in order to like,
Okay.
because when you're
Alright.
watching something and you only see
Yeah.
silhouettes, it lets your mind fill in the gaps, and I think that enhances the
Yeah.
mood.
Yes.
That I understand. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably
Um,
just Everdread, just taking artistic liberties and stuff.
or whoever sprited that particular scene.
Yeah.
But but he did make they did make the trailer itself, and for Undertale too.
Yeah, Everdrade is
Wait,
the
what?
trailer guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Who
Yeah.
made the trailer?
Yes.
and
Is
also
it
the
Evil Dread
Omega
or
Flowey
Everdread?
thing.
I thought it was
We'll get to
Everdread.
that later.
Yes,
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
Everdrade who made the trailer. In the art book, it was stated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, after the silhouettes, they kind of go into Castletown.
Well, before we go into that, I actually wanted to bring up the fact that in the Japanese trailer and in the English trailer, the line shows up and it says something like, "This is going to be a humorous adventure or of friendship," or something like that, right? The trailer says something along those lines, and both the Japanese and English trailer say the same thing, but the Japanese trailer, it's translated into Japanese, but text further down into the trailer is still in English. Specifically, chapter 3 is waiting, chapter 4 is waiting.
That's at the
I
end.
guess right. I guess we can get to that in a bit then.
Yeah.
Right.
Just so everyone is aware, Zenny is our local Japan.
Yeah.
So I lived in. I probably should have said that in the introduction. I lived in Japan for 6 years. I was an English and social studies teacher in Japan, and I picked up the language while living there. And so I'm also here because I can also read and speak and write Japanese.
Yeah. And draw.
Yeah, and I can draw.
Draw in
Yeah.
Japanese.
Yeah.
No, I think he means the sprites.
Yeah.
Motherfucker inked me in kanji.
I did. So whenever a Japanese screenshot comes up, I'll be talking a bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back
Okay.
to the trailer, you were talking about they walked into Castletown.
Yeah, and then the logo appears, and then gameplay shows up.
And then chapter 1 and 2, we know what happens in chapter 1 and 2. That's
Yeah.
not really for the hardcore fans; it's for casual fans who've never played it before. Which, by the way, that
Yes.
trailer did succeed between the Undertale $1 sale and the Deltarune trailer.
Yeah.
I do believe it succeeded in getting new fans because YouTube has been recommending first-time Deltarune players nonstop to me this week.
Yeah, I've actually been watching a couple too.
Yeah,
Same.
I'm pretty excited to see what happens.
I haven't gotten them. I haven't really. I tried to kind of avoiding YouTube recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
Which
That's
is
fair.
fair.
That's fair.
Okay.
Well, so I do want to skip ahead because we saw. We know what happens in chapter 1 and 2. I think anyone listening to this podcast knows what happens in chapter 1 and 2.
Yeah. We can definitely
Yeah,
skip
yeah.
ahead to the
Yeah,
Shadowmen
the heart.
battle gameplay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the but like one final thing, or no, whatever. I can bring it up later, actually.
No,
Yeah,
go
okay.
ahead. What was? Oh.
No, it kind of happens later as well.
Yeah, because he
So-
wants to talk about, I'm sure, the angel thing at the end. So we'll talk about it
Yes. Yeah.
then.
All right.
So yeah, let's talk about the Shadowmen gameplay.
All right. Yeah, I noticed first of all that it was in the Spamton sweepstakes, but now we see it finished with a time bar with ammo and like little explosions from their fingertips.
Yeah.
Hell
Mhm.
yeah.
Finger
It
guns.
really, I think this is interesting because it's highlighting something that we saw very long ago at this point, but now in like an
Mhm.
actually finished state, and we can like compare the two and how much more there is to it now in the
It's-
finalized state. I think it's really cool to look at and see.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the first time we saw
Somebody
it
have
was in the Spamton sweepstakes.
Somebody have
Sorry.
somebody have the old screenshot.
Not on hand, but I'm sure I can put it up on screen and post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just
Okay.
gonna have to remember it. I remember it. I got picture
I
perfect
guess-
Hey,
memory.
editor check.
I guess you gotta.
Make sure to add that right here, right there, right here, and also over there, up in the upper corner.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dante.
Chestnut, remember it's so I don't have to.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm reminding myself now.
No,
and
just
I'm
not for the
listening back
comedy.
to
Just
it.
don't add that.
I'm gonna add it. Don't worry. We're wasting time talking about the editing
Thank you.
of a podcast.
All right. So we did see. So we were
But we-
talking.
Yeah, the Shadowmen guys. I really like this battle too. I want to actually talk about it for a moment because the whole act, right? What we're doing is we're knocking their socks off, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's
Yes,
the
blowing
joke.
their
yes,
socks off, yeah.
yes.
But they don't normally wear socks. So for
Yeah,
this
they're
act
added on.
specifically, they put the socks on so we can knock them off, or we can spare them.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Okay, but do you think that like
silly.
socks will somehow like appear in Overworld Shadowmen, or just for this battle for the pun?
I think the
I mean,
idea
I mean, like
comes
we know
from
because in the Phantom Sweepstakes, there was like a page where we see shower curtains and we turn it, and then
Yeah,
there's a shadow man putting on the socks, going ah,
and
and then
screaming, yeah.
yes. But also, I think
forgot
the
about that.
socks are connected to the sock drawer line from like Undertale, right? Like how Scandalous was something like that,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Something to do with Toriel's socks.
Didn't like the OG one also have like some like not exactly slowed down, but like a different rendition of Rude Buster?
Yeah.
No,
It was
yes,
it was
slowed
literally
down.
slowed down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
slow
it
down.
was. It was slowed down,
Okay.
and I wasn't sure if that was just in order to save space
Oh, no,
or something.
yeah, it
or
was
servers,
just-
I don't.
because
I
it was
have no idea why
compressed.
it slowed down.
Because it was like really compressed, right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know how that stuff works. I don't know how. I don't.
I
I don't
think
know how.
Toby
to-
I don't
thought
know
it was
why-
funny.
Fair enough. I don't know. I don't know how web
it
dev works.
sounds kind of cool. That's about it.
But like, you don't think that it will actually appear in the game, like a vapor?
No.
in your Rude Buster?
Maybe.
No,
Maybe it
no.
might. Very low chance, but it could.
It might be like a battle effect in theory, like
Oh,
an enemy
yeah,
or
yeah.
either an act
And
does
then-
something
yeah.
and it slows things down, adds bullet time and that slows the music down. Maybe that's the logic.
And then it's
Bullet
sweet. And then
bullet
it's
time.
and then,
Maybe that's what
And-
happens during the shooting segment, like when you shoot them and there's a time bar, then it slows down.
Yeah. Maybe that could be the logic. Maybe there's
And-
like an
yeah.
act you can play that costs TP to like activate bullet time. So there's like one where it's
Oh
normal,
God.
and then there's one where that costs TP for bullet time, and the bullet time one is easier because it slows
Chris
everything down.
just going. Chris
And
just
that was
going
supposed to slow
full
down the
max
music.
pain.
Yeah.
so the music speeds up again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the music would
Oh.
slow down during the bullet time act specifically.
Yeah, I think that does
I-
make sense, actually, yeah.
Maybe.
Now
I hadn't
I just made
considered
all
that.
of that up, so that could all be nothing, right?
It could all
Yeah.
be right. I don't know how
Yeah.
you came up with that. Like just looking at a single screenshot, I was like,
I did
It's
all
a
of that in
video.
real time too. Keep in mind, that literally just came to me. That's how smart I am.
huge brain. Huge
Actually,
brain.
your
I'm
source
literally
is
I
that
started.
like BBC and Sherlock Mind Palace, literally. in
No,
real
Yeah,
time.
no. The BBC Sherlock Night Palace. You need to put up a screen cap of that on the screen
I'll
so
Yeah.
that
make
people
sure
know what you're talking about.
I'll like have a little clip of it in the corner.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I like the bullet time idea,
Yeah.
and completely
That's cool.
not entirely relevant, but
But
It
how
makes
much
me
does
feel
it
like-
change of the
It would
gameplay?
slow
How much
down
does
the
it
enemies,
change?
so that it would be easier.
Yeah,
to
but
aim.
they're
That's the idea.
easier to. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the
that makes
idea is
sense,
like
'cause I thought-
normally they move like fairly fast, and you have to like shoot their
Okay.
socks. So there'd be a bullet
Okay.
time act, which would be the functionally the same act, but it would cost TP to use
Yeah.
instead, and that one would
Uh-huh.
have the enemies slowed down,
Hmm.
so they'd be easier to shoot
Okay.
them.
So is there just okay? So there could be like, is there just one slowed down version, or is there one that's slowed down and one with regular speed? Or
There's one with regular speed and
That's-
one with slowed down.
okay,
and the slowdown
okay.
one would cost more TP.
Okay,
That's what Chestnut's getting
Cool.
at.
Yeah.
I feel like so this is not entirely related, but I feel like if Deltarune had come out in like 2006, this would have been a Matrix segment instead of like a Mafia segment.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Because
it
of the
would have.
bullet,
It
because
would
of
have
the
been.
bullet time stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Deltarune 1 Y2K edition.
Y2K edition, Matrix
I'm
dodging
geeking out.
everything.
I'm yeeking out.
Holy
I'm
shit, they're
yeeking out.
I'm
yeeking.
yaking out.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Speaking of some new entirely different gameplay features stuffing at it, how about that cat petters?
Yeah. So
we
moving
can
on
bring
to
that
the
up
next
later
one.
because I think that's like
I
the
mean, it's
final
No, it's
segment of
literally
the
the
show,
next.
right?
Yeah,
It's
after
literally
the
the
Shadow
next
Guys.
thing after the Shadow
Oh,
Guys.
yeah,
okay.
that's what I was
Afterwards.
bringing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
was trying
there's a
to
lot of
bridge the
things to note
topics.
about this topic with the cat petters room. First off, it is cat petters. The health bars are cats. You got like 3 cat heads. Those are your lives.
Mhm.
The things you're blocking are balls of yarn, and all that. And this is also specifically the special secret room that Toby was talking about, in the
Switch
newsletter.
2.
Yeah, for the Switch 2. So on the Switch 2 version specifically, you control these with dual mouse controls. And this room is also in the other versions as well, but with like a different control scheme.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know what to think of that weird ass gimmick with the mouse for the Switch 2. I don't know. It looks kind of weird to control for some of the games, like that weird football game
Yeah,
they
the
showed in the
wheelchair
direct.
basketball game.
Yeah, that
Literally
looks.
not
I don't know.
football. The actual
I don't know.
opposite of football,
I
but
don't,
yes.
I don't know if that looks fun to
Is
play.
basketball the opposite of football? Like,
Wheelchair basketball
is that how it
specifically.
works? Okay.
Wheelchair basketball. Yeah, that's what it
You
is.
literally don't use your
Okay.
feet at all.
They should have just won
Oh,
Mario
yeah.
Paint, like you suggested once, Chestnut.
Yeah, they should have. They probably will
Yeah.
eventually.
I mean,
Yeah,
Mario
hopefully.
Maker's gonna
That would
go
be
hard
so
on the
cool.
Switch too.
Yeah, they're
Now that
definitely
you
going
can
to
use
make
it
a
as a
new Mario
mouse.
Maker and use the Switch 2
But
mouse
They should
yeah.
just do an update. They should just do an update. Or
But
a
yes.
Switch 2 version.
Maybe.
Mhm.
I think they'd
Well,
rather just
anyways.
make a whole new one, though. But back to cat petters.
Yeah, back
Yeah.
to cat petters. I don't know what to make of the mini game specifically, other than the fact that it appears to take place in Castletown because of the border around it. But
But also the colors.
the colors are
colors.
interesting. Yeah, right. They look
Yeah.
like the weird smiling guy that we see in chapter 2. I think it's just
Yes,
friend.
friend.
in the
Image
game.
friend,
Image
yeah.
slash
Yeah.
friend. Image friend.
People
Yeah.
have made connections towards image friend and like it being a cat sort of thing, so that may confirm
Yes.
it.
That's
Treasure
like a
cat.
whole
Yeah.
big theory.
I remember
From Alice.
Specifically
Yeah.
because
Cheshire Cat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cheshire Cat.
because
Based on the character in Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
yes. Because Spamton also has the pink and yellow glasses thing. So that's the eye connection.
Mhm.
But then Spamton as well is also cat element for some reason.
Yeah.
And wasn't it
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
in the
which is very
Switch states he was tied to like one of the cat petters games of like Noel did or something?
Yes, that as well.
Yeah.
So like what if just the combination of pink and blue are just the universe equivalent of just this is the cat color?
I don't know. Isn't like pink and yellow like the color for like some when like there's like no sprite or something or whatever. I remember seeing something like that. I don't know what exactly it was, but it was
No, I associate the colors with Spare from Undertale, yellow,
Yes.
and you can change it to pink. I'm not sure what you're talking about with the missing textures, though.
missing textures. Is that what it was?
I also
Is
don't
that
know
one of those?
exactly what you're referring to.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either.
Yeah, but it was like some whatever. But doesn't matter.
All right, that's fair. If you remember, though, you can bring it up again later.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't remember exactly what it was.
Beyond just like the mini game itself, I think it's supposed to just be a hint at like Caddy and Caddy's involvement in chapter 3 or 4, likely 4.
Or like Azrael's backstory, and I mean just like his life overall, like how Catty, like he got cat petters from Catty, right? It was signed Catty with a gel pen.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's important to note, specifically in relation to chapter 3, is right? Susie talks about like Invasion of the Cat Petters as one of the movies she wants to watch. And then there's also the Cat Petters game in Asriel's room as well. So that's 2 point of Cat Petters connected to chapter 3 specifically.
And I think Cat Fetters came up a lot during the Spanish sweepstakes, right?
Yeah. it
Yes,
did.
like twice, I think, with Noel stories, yeah.
And so it's also connected to Noel.
Yeah, so it's very
Yes.
built up, yeah. I think
It's
there's
very
gonna be
built up.
more than just a mini game. Maybe like an entire like sort of small area or portion of chapter 3.
Yeah.
And then do you think
I
you got something?
found something that's like kind of similar to it, but I remember. Oh my god, Google link. There we go. Oh, sorry. Go on. Go on talking about the stuff you were talking.
All right. I was going to bring up. Do you think that all of the Cat Petters foreshadowing, or not foreshadowing at this point, like just straight up showing it to us? Do you think that means we're going to get Caddy into the Dark World in these 2 chapters? One of these 2 chapters?
Oh, chapter 4, of course.
Caddy with
Yeah.
an
Specifically
I
4,
will
yes.
be in 4, yes.
Yeah,
Caddy
that's
with a
what I
Y,
meant.
no.
No, because she's too unimportant. Like the Y candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Caddy with an I, and it's funny that you guys say Caddy with a Y, Caddy with an I, just because in the Japanese one it's even more atrocious. I believe
Oh wow.
because they phonetically sound the same, just like in English, Caddy and Caddy.
Yeah.
In the Japanese one, I believe Caddy with an I is spelled with like an elongation mark at the end of her name, if I recall correctly. I would need to look at it again, but I believe it's spelled almost exactly the same, but there's like an extra mark at the end. It's atrocious. Like
man.
the fan wiki page that I was reading, like in Japanese for it, was like, make sure you don't get them mixed up. Like, just
Why would Toby name them that?
Because
I don't think it was because he made up the characters before he knew Japanese. Like
it's Kati, and Kati.
No, yeah, but it's already confusing.
Yeah,
extremely
that's the
confusing.
point.
And that's why it's funny.
He
Caddy with
also
an I and
named
Caddy and
a
Y is also
character
confusing.
Noel Holiday and December Holiday, both referring to the same holiday.
And
mean,
here's a funny
that's
thing.
not-
Sorry.
It's not too important. Those are like a bunch of different letters meaning the same thing, though. But it's like completely different letters, though. So it's no big deal.
Just wait until we meet Susie's older sister, Susie with
Susie with a Y.
Yeah, with a Z and a Y.
And the Z. And the Z.
Yeah, God. I remember, it's funny you bring up like the whole thing with Noel Holiday. I remember when people first started playing around with like the Bing AI thing, back before we knew it was a bad thing, right? Before, when everyone was just treating it like a toy.
Yeah.
People would type in Noel Holiday to see what they would get, but the AI couldn't figure out Noel from Deltarune. Even if you added Deltarune at the end of Noel Holiday, it would just generate random anime girls in like Santa suits because it couldn't parse 2 words that meant the same thing.
Yeah, her name is just Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas.
Mario.
Yeah.
Okay, about like the pink and yellow thing. I posted an image for it. I remember seeing something like this for like concept art or whatever, but like the colors were pink and yellow instead.
That blue and yellow. Oh, that blue and yellow. Oh, that's so hard to look at. That blue and yellow.
Specifically for
it's
this
Alfie's.
image you sent.
Yeah,
it's Alfie's, and it also was for Undyne's house. I thought specifically there was this like dump tile texture because that was the floor in Undyne's house.
Yes, I was looking through the wiki.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember seeing something like that with the colors of like Spamton and the image friend. But I don't know what it was for or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it was official. I don't think it was fan made. It was like, it looked like concept art and looked unused or whatever. I don't remember what else.
But yeah, going back to Caddy, who I'm actually really gunning for. I really want her to be in a Dark World. I want her to be
Yeah,
a
she
guest party
will.
member.
Yeah, she's
Or
definitely gonna.
If
Both of
Jockington
them.
will, then
Both of
Cathy
them.
definitely will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah,
of them.
yeah. And what
And
I
we
was
know
thinking,
Jockington is there because Jockington grows the
he
beard.
grows the beard. He grows
Yeah.
the beard.
Beard.
Which we're gonna
So
cover
here's
later.
everyone
That's
keeps
for
like
later.
everyone keeps they keep portraying Dark World Caddy as a necromancer, which I completely understand why. It is a great pun. You guys are on the money. But me, what I want to see is I want her to be dressed up like a Castlevania character and use Jockington like the Vampire Slayer whip.
Like a whip, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, yeah.
personally think that she will use Jockington as a staff, like a magic staff, and he will hold an orb in his mouth.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That would explain the beard if he's literally a wizard.
Oh yeah, that too. That does
Oh.
make sense. Yeah.
We aren't supposed to talk about Jock.
Oh.
Like he's turning into Gandalf the Grey or whatever.
Have we
Oh.
talked
Gandalf
about
the
enough
White.
about the
Yeah.
cat minigame, whatever?
Oh yeah. Speaking
And
of
there-
the
there's
cat
a-
minigame,
Yeah.
is that the like? I'm not sure if I'm getting what I'm looking at. Is that supposed to be the kind of like green soul gimmick where you're blocking the balls of yarn, or no?
No, there's
Kinda.
no. It's just green. No, it's just red cell.
No,
If
I
it's
don't
a
mean that the
minigame.
soul is green. Just like the fact that you're blocking the projectile.
Yes, it is mechanically identical. If you got hit, you would lose a life, which in the gameplay shown, we can
Yeah.
see that they've already lost one of their cat lives. And you can get hit 3 times
Okay, I
before the
see.
minigame's over. And it seems to be high score based. And there's also like this weird hypnotic eye pattern in the background as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, because Toby describes this as a secret room that you kind of have to go out of your way to find, and it's implied to be in Castletown specifically, I wouldn't be too surprised if like the Mike Cat secret boss ends up being real. That like friend was teasing the cat secret boss in chapter 3. I wouldn't be too surprised if that ends up being real, and that your reward and one of the rewards for beating the secret boss of chapter 3 is this mini game.
I see.
Isn't Phampton like in the code considered a cat type monster or
Yes,
dark
you
Yes.
mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
Cat or puppet.
You mentioned it.
Yes,
Oh, did you?
Cat-
I must
What
have
about
missed
the
that.
music minigame?
we haven't gotten to that yet.
Yeah, we haven't
That's
gotten
right
to that.
afterwards.
Yeah, there's not a lot to say about the Cat Petters minigame. I have a hard time articulating anything particularly that stands out other than the
I
two
would-
colors,
you know-
yellow and pink.
Honestly, if I was more invested in the whole friend theory discussion, I would be
It's not.
probably losing my mind over it, because I do think there's a lot to like say specifically relating to that theory in particular, because
still
this
think it's cool
is
it's
kind of
there.
like, I know, at least partially confirming a lot of that theory actually.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ultimately, yeah, it definitely shows some importance to image friend. So I wonder what will be done with image friend ultimately. Like, will they be a chapter 3 thing, or maybe something more important in chapter 6 or 7?
I feel like it's gonna be important overall because it's like the file name is like all
Gaster,
caps,
right? All
like
caps, yeah.
Yeah,
like caps,
think
like
it's-
Gaster,
It-
and like
it could
Flowey
be-
shows up.
yeah, it could be
in
possible that this
Undertale.
is just another teaser, for later.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in Undertale,
Which
you can
continue.
like in Undertale, you can like see Flowey like going on underground again. You can like if you walk a little bit behind in some parts areas, you can like see him a little bit before he
Yeah,
like, goes
stalking
underground
you,
a little
yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you think that will
this
happen?
could,
With image friend?
I think something similar is gonna happen with that, like with Gaster or whatever, because he's also the same. He's also the first character we meet in the game, so obviously
Yeah.
that character is gonna have an important role through in the story, like
Mhm.
Flowey did.
Yeah, that like the
See, yeah.
whole cat friend thing. It's not just like, it wasn't just teasing the cat petter stuff in chapter 3. The cat petter stuff is just a second tease for something that's going to happen like way later down the line, which could
Yeah.
also totally be the case.
Yeah, that can be the case, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is actually going to be super super important.
super important.
Yeah, though I wonder
Yeah.
why it has spammed on color eyes while it was stated before to be spammed on imitating swatch, right? Like, why are they connected
I
specifically
think
with the
it's
eyes?
partially. I think what meant to have been happened is that Spamton tried to imitate Swatch, but then fucked up and then partially imitated Friend as well.
But like accidentally or on
Yeah,
purpose?
because like Swatch is also using the multicolored glasses and has like the black and white suit. And so Spamton's like copying Swatch's look and he tries to copy the glasses,
Oh,
but he fucks up and he copies Friend's eyes instead of Swatch's correct color glasses.
I see.
I think that's probably what's going on with that.
Hmm.
Or at least that's kind of how I interpret it. I think it makes sense.
I see.
But if we want to move on from the cat petters, the next thing up is the Guitar Hero rhythm game minigame.
Rock
And
band
singing.
Yes.
segment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rouse
Yeah.
also sings there.
Where's the English screenshot for that? There it is.
The most notable thing here is like, apparently you only control Chris and Rouse, but not Susie.
I mean,
Unless-
which tracks for Susie?
Which
Unless-
tracks for Susie, right?
Yeah, it either Susie just can't be in access at all for the gameplay, as to hammer in the fact that she can be controlled, or
Yes,
maybe like
yeah,
parts of
that's
the
what I was
song
thinking.
just block out certain characters from gameplay, or maybe you can choose a song which blocks out
I
characters.
feel
Or-
like it's more
or-
likely for it to continuing on with like you not being able to control Susie. I feel
Yeah,
like it's just
I-
continuing with that.
Yeah, I personally think so myself, mainly because like Susie in the trailer is like rocking on the drums, like she's way too fast to be controlled, I think.
She is
Okay,
going
yeah.
I just
insane on
want to
those
say
drums.
yeah,
I just want to say, like, it could absolutely be something like, yeah, the reason why we can't control Susie is because we can't control her, but also is because we only have two hands, and we need one to control one or the other at one time, and we have three characters.
yeah.
I mean, sure. My okay, this is, I suppose, a crack theory that I like to throw around as a joke. But sometimes I think maybe it's not a joke. I think the reason we can't control Susie is because she's rude. Like she has
Yeah, her
there's that
rudeness, yeah.
the element of rude is what prevents her from being controlled by us, especially because a lot of the things that the soul says often feels like hard suggestions more than they do absolute commands. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I see. Yeah, many people have made the connection of her guts start being reminiscent of like being adjacent to her not being able to be controlled, right?
Mhm.
The two fire symbols that represent her guts. But yeah, I feel like just Susie being rude or just unruly and hating rules is very much a part of why she cannot be controlled. Yeah.
And again, that's me mostly joking, but as I think about it, it's like, you know, it could happen. She's rude. Why not?
yeah.
But
I think Susie's refusal of our commands is definitely a super important part of the narrative, especially when we think about the themes of fate versus free will within the narrative and how
yes,
we are trying to enact our free will onto the game world, but the game world is a scripted narrative that, you know, is functionally like fate. And so Susie is this character whose narrative is so set in stone that we as the player cannot like deviate it in any way. It's kind of how I see it in a sense.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think
Well,
this is also why Chris likes her so much. Like, I think Chris very much respects her assertiveness.
Huh.
I mean, it
you
could
know,
also be like, I've also had the thought of like something else entirely of just like, yeah, everything is scripted, except for Susie. Susie can just choose to do something else, and that's almost kind of metatextually, like not scripted within the game. Like she's just doing her own thing and derailing the entire plot, and Rousey needs to go, okay, how do we get back on track? How do we get back on track?
I think
Yeah,
I think
technically
the
everything
idea
is scripted.
I think the idea more at
Technically.
play is that Susie is, of course, operating completely under the illusion of free will. She assumes she has free will, but even though she doesn't really have any. But her fate is so strong, it's so set in stone that we, the player, who does have free will, who does have the power of choice, our choices don't matter to her. Right? It's remember to note like what is said in chapter 1, right? Susie tells us that our choices don't matter. But then like 10 minutes later we run into Ralsei and he's like, I believe your choices do matter, Chris. But like he also says in that same line of dialogue, it's just like we're going to go on an adventure foretold exactly like the prophecy at the same time. Right before telling us it's like, but also your choices do matter, so make sure to be nice to everyone, otherwise we won't have a happy ending.
Because it's all about the journey and not the destination.
Yeah.
There
And
are
it
more
does
important things than
change
reaching
the
the
ending
end.
in chapter 1, right? Depending on if you fight anyone or do the pacifist route, you'll get a slightly different ending.
Slightly different, but the actual ending, where Chris takes out their soul,
Yeah,
that's still the
that's
same.
still the
Same
same.
same with chapter 2.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's no consequences for the
It's
chapter 1's ending, right? Like, you get
Yeah.
pardoned either way.
it
Not yet, at
like this
least.
ending with Chris reinforces that there's only one ending, and I think that's just gonna continue like that. I don't think
I'm
there's gonna be like
actually
multiple. I don't think there's gonna be like multiple secret endings or something.
no, I don't think there's going to be multiple secret endings either. But the stance that I've maintained thus far is that while there will be one ending, depending on the route
Yeah.
that you use to
The
get
context
there,
the
the context
context
is going to
changes.
be totally
Yeah,
different.
that
Yeah,
I agree with that, but the ending is always
like
the
I can
same.
Yeah,
imagine.
similar to a neutral run in Undertale, right? Like, it technically ends the same, but there's so much going on depending on your choices in the underground.
Yeah,
It's
I can
based on
see
a
that
dream.
happening.
It's based
I
on a
can,
dream.
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know why you would change it.
I can see that what Kiwi Mora said, but I can also see a situation where it's one ending, but every sentence takes on a completely different context if you did it in Snowgrave or not. So, like, if you did it through Snowgrave, I imagine every sentence is going to be like a punch to the face. Like, we're going to
Yeah.
just be like, ooh, ooh. And then in the normal route, it's just going to be played at face value.
I
I
do
see.
think
It's
the Snowgrave route will have like functionally a different ending because in the sense that it will have no ending at all. I very much
Right.
believe that the point of Snowgrave is to break the game, to fully enact our free will onto it, to the point in which everything is functionally destroyed, but hey, the game didn't end, so you get to keep playing it, right?
That is also a valid.
Maybe it will literally end with us freezing the game. Maybe it will literally end on the game crashing.
or time loop.
Or time loop,
Time
maybe.
loop.
What if time loop theory is true, but it's only true for the Snowgrave route?
Yeah, and then, like, puts you back in chapter 1, you have to, like, play it again. Is that what you mean? Like, you can't finish
Maybe
it technically?
I don't know.
I think
I don't
time
know
loop.
I don't know if
I think it would make
I
more
don't know if
sense
I
if time loop was on the regular route and then Snowgrave route subverts time loop and like breaks the loop somehow. And I also don't
see.
find that
Maybe.
super satisfying either.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be for both if it's true.
Right, because you're so Chestnut's.
like
oh, sorry.
Despite trying to go out of your way, you still get the same ending.
Uh-huh.
Trying to
Well, yeah, sorry.
I'm
Anyways.
rather of the opinion that all like pretty much 90% of the way you can play the game always leads to the same ending, but like for Snowgrave Roof particularly, well, congratulations. You killed everyone. You've ruined everybody's lives. You broke the game to a point where you cannot fix it anymore. But hey, you got a new ending. Isn't that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's kind of close.
Yeah.
That's kind of close to what genocide
Was, yeah.
did.
Yeah.
In Undertale.
Yeah,
I
this is a
think
bit different.
it's a
I
little
mean,
bit
like genocide.
different.
At least there's like difference between like neutral ending, pacifist ending, and genocide stuff. And stuff like here is just like there's 90% of the routes lead to pacifist route. Only one very specific thing you need to do leads to the Snowgrave route.
Yeah. With Geno and Undertale, it was about very much being a completionist, doing everything even though it would
Yeah.
stop being fun. Well, with, Snowgrave, it's much more about literally breaking the game in half in order to try and get anything to deviate in the story.
Mhm. Yeah, and Spamton
We should-
alludes to that, right?
Yeah,
You know,
like Spamton in like Snowgrave also is like that. You think making frozen chicken with your side chick is gonna let you drink up that sweet, sweet freedom sauce? Well, you're fucking right. But don't come crying to me when you're living in a broken home, wishing you let your old pal Spamton
Yeah.
kill you.
I think we
Yeah.
should get on topic on the
Yeah,
dancing minigame.
Yeah.
No,
we,
singing.
we kind of are on topic in the sense that we're
Let's
trying to
talk
analyze
about
why it is that
Deltarune.
Susie's unevaileable.
Yeah.
But
we
did
branched out
deviate a
far
bit.
off, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
Alright,
get back to
that's
the
fair.
rhythm mini game. So Valsay is stanced up very gay-like. Yes.
Yes.
I like his hair.
I love
Yeah.
his
When I
mohawk.
saw-
Yeah.
Yeah, I love his mohawk. I remember when I
Oh,
saw
wait a
the
minute.
screenshot.
Wait, Chestnut, you had like a crack theory with Chris holding the
Yes.
with Chris being able to play the guitar.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
no,
insane.
No, I don't
Yeah,
like
I'm not-
it.
Could you
I don't like
explain
it.
to the
I'm-
audience what you thought
I'm not
was
sure
that?
if I like it myself. I'm not
Yes,
sure if I like
yes,
it myself.
I don't
so-
like it.
I'm
So-
unfamiliar. What's going on?
Okay, so we notice how Chris is playing the guitar in the mini game, right? If we remember, Chris is supposed to be able to play piano. However, they seem to have lost the ability to play piano very recently. But also, now they seemingly can play guitar perfectly fine. Clearly, the explanation for this is Death's third entity. Death's soul is
Andala.
So
inside
true.
Chris, and that's why Chris can play guitar. Right?
That's so true.
There it is.
Yep.
Andala.
It's so
So
stupid.
true, bestie. So true.
It's literally Kingdom
Yeah.
Hearts. It's literally Kingdom Hearts, guys.
No, no, I don't. I don't.
Garu
No.
was
Everyone is
almost right.
inside Sora. Do you know how many entities are
Ja-
inside Sora? Literally, like
least
at
six
least
at this
Say
point.
that. Don't say
Literally
that.
fucking
You
everyone,
phrase it like
apparently.
that. It sounds so weird.
But I did make the joke that Des is the Aqua of
Yeah.
Deltarune. She's stuck in like.
Aqua?
Okay, so Aqua in okay, Kingdom Hearts spoilers for anyone who's listening.
Oh, it's
I don't.
yeah.
So anyone who's
fine.
listening, Kingdom Hearts spoilers. There is a character who gets lost in the darkness, which is like the
The
dark
realm of
world in Kingdom
darkness.
Hearts,
Funny.
the realm of
Funny.
darkness, and she gets stuck there after like a heroic sacrifice. And the characters later on, it's revealed that like the entire context of the first few games is set up to rescue Aqua from this world. And so I joked, okay, Des is going to occupy a similar role. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, well, is that too far off? Is it?
It's pretty
Is it
similar.
really?
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Toby Fox loves to wear his inspirations on his sleeve. Like he definitely was.
I don't know if he. I don't know if he's
right?
specifically inspired by Kingdom Hearts. Though. I don't think he's ever brought up Kingdom Hearts ever.
I'm sure he's played it.
Oh
but,
really?
like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I feel like everybody who was alive during the 2000s played Kingdom Hearts, right?
Like,
Maybe.
Some
I mean, I
siblings
played
of
it.
I've
mine
watched
played
Let's
it.
Plays of it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, we've got fucking Aqua as Des. We've got Xehanort as Gaster. We've got
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chris
Chris-
and Chris
Chris is
Katara as
Roxas.
Ventus and Roxas. Yeah,
Or is the
Yeah,
vessel
Chris is totally
Roxas?
Roxas.
Chris is Roxas.
No, Vessel is-
Sora is Brisk. There's another fucker that was inside Sora.
Vanitas?
Xion. That's her. That's her
Oh,
name.
Shion.
Xion.
Oh, Shion.
It's confusing.
Oh, Shion.
Shion
Oh,
is
Shion
Tara.
is the no. Shion is the vessel because Shion is the one everyone forgets about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shion's a
Or
gunner.
Shion Noel, because she's gonna die, and then say, Susie, you're a hot piece of work. Or something like that.
So
no.
true. That's my favorite Black Chestnut certified classic.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting into like we're getting.
Okay,
into
but
some-
what would
Okay,
what would
back to the
what
point
would-
about Death's
what
third
would-
entity on Chris, right?
What
Back
would
on
that mean for
point.
the narrative? What would that mean for the narrative?
I'm getting to that. I'm explaining it. I'm explaining the theory. Don't worry, don't worry.
Chestnut.
Hush,
It's
hush,
Vince.
hush.
I'm getting to it. Okay. So how Death's third entity works within this theory. Death is not the knight. Chris is still the knight. We are still controlling Chris. The player is also there. Des, however, also resides in Chris and has made them lose the ability to play piano and made them gain the ability to play guitar. That's it. That's all that Des's soul being inside Chris does. That's literally it.
Okay,
All
okay.
that
Now,
bulk so far? That's a
Yeah.
Okay, but what will but like story wise, how will this
Yeah,
be
yeah.
brought
So-
up?
Okay, so here's what's
what
gonna
I-
happen. Here's what's gonna happen. In chapter 6,
oh, God.
Chris will stab themselves, and then they will remove Des's soul, and then Chris will turn into a goner or something, and then Des will hug Chris, and then they'll be turned back to normal. It'll be very stupid. That's how we're doing it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
no,
was revealed to me in a
so
And everyone
let
at
me-
the
let
theater
me-
will clap.
let me
Okay,
take.
so this is just there and not much else.
Yeah,
Yeah. She
Okay.
disappeared for a while, but now she's back.
yeah.
Disappeared.
She disappeared. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like the song, "The Disappearance of Hatsune Miku."
Yes.
Well, no. So I'm gonna take Chestnut seriously here. Say this
Oh.
theory. Say this theory is correct. How does this
Yeah.
add to the narrative? Because I know you have a personal
That's-
rule that if
that's
you
what
make
I'm
a, if you make a Deltarune theory, it has to somehow make the narrative better and not worse. So how does this make the narrative better in any way? I'm gonna poke your brain a bit.
It explains why Des is not dead, but also not alive. That's it.
That's not much
and
else.
she's Chris's
I don't know.
stand.
I
I don't know.
Chris's
I
stand.
don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
The power of my stand. Oh, sorry.
I feel like you could go through chapter 1 and 2 and find things that Chris just apparently know just on the spot or on the fly. Like just like the guitar thing. You could
Yeah.
probably do that. Maybe not. I don't know.
This theory is not that
This
theory.
Yeah.
But I do, and
December
That's a
holiday
joke.
is Chris's Timok. That's a reference only I will get.
Yeah. This theory is like I'm not that serious on it, but also
I know.
do
Okay.
after watching this
Okay.
trailer, I do start to believe it slightly more because now
Oh,
I'm
no.
like,
I mean, that's fair. So if you were to redo your theory tier list from like a year and a half ago, would you put third entity theory a little bit higher this time? Just a wee bit.
specifically Dust third entity, yes. Everything else is still poop. All the third entities. Are
Yeah,
still
it's
Yeah.
funny because a friend of mine believes in Death's third entity theory, but
Oh.
specifically for one reason, and that's because when you eat the chocolate, it tears apart Chris's insides. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
What?
My friend is like, because deers can't digest chocolate. And I was like, well,
Come
assuming,
on.
Yeah.
assuming that's true, that's a very
What?
silly reason. But you know
The
what? I'm not going
chocolate
to say
also
no.
heals Noelle in the Dark World.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
So probably not correct, but it is a funny
Yeah.
like
Grow
Yeah.
that is
on
like
nothing.
that is like Matpat levels of
It is.
theorizing.
I do still think it's weird that Chris can't play piano since we possess them.
Yeah.
I don't think
Or
so.
they don't want
Yeah,
to
there's-
or they don't want to.
Yeah, that's
maybe-
what I
or
was.
they don't
going
want
for.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, because they stop playing when Noel comes in Noel's backstory, right? I just don't think they like to be watched by specific people, like for in this example, the player, where they don't want us to
Maybe.
see them playing the piano.
I don't know.
But they're fine with the receptionist listening to them
Yeah,
playing the
exactly.
piano.
I was about to say that. Yeah, the receptionist listens, and they're fine with that.
Yeah, but maybe they're not like badged by just random
And
people
they're not
listening, just
gonna
people that
play for Susie. I don't know. It's
I
a
think-
weird
I think-
point. I think the point of
What
it
if-
is probably just to highlight the fact that we are not Chris. Just to
Yeah.
make that more obvious,
Yeah.
but done
I
in a
don't
bit
really
of a
know
weird
because
way.
Chris
that
has a
makes it
lot of
kind
like
confusing.
I don't know because Chris has a lot of agency, despite us. Like during cutscenes, they have a lot of stuff to do. And like, do you explain the fact that they can do stuff in cutscenes because we don't control them, or how?
Oh, people have explained that with third entity, which is super fun.
Yeah, no, I just think that for people like personal to them, like Noel, or in this case the player, they just don't like showing stuff, like their interests, like in the piano.
Maybe.
It's possible, or maybe there's like a specific song that Chris can play, and they don't want to run the risk of playing it in front of the player.
Or maybe it's because Des is inside them and has made them lose the ability to play piano.
No,
Yes.
It's Chris's friend.
Yeah.
no, but I think what Chestnut was
That's
saying
what
earlier
Friend Inside
makes
Me
the
is
most sense.
about. Yes, Des Third Entity.
No, not that one.
And the soul.
Never that one.
We're getting to Friend Inside Me later.
Yeah.
Get into that later, actually.
Yeah.
There we are.
Oh,
So
God.
I think what Chestnut was saying earlier, where it's just a way to underscore Chris's character, is probably the most correct answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
It's the answer that makes the most sense.
Okay.
Unless you know, if Toby Fox's name, was Tetsuya Nomura, I would probably be more inclined to believe this one. But
Yes,
No.
I'll agree with you on that. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I mean, like,
I agree
is
with
this not
that.
that much different than like the Frisk and Kara nonsense that was going on in Undertale?
Okay, yeah. You know what? Yeah, sure. I could believe Chris. I could believe Death Third
Yeah.
Entity now.
no, it's because Kara as a character is a very weird one in that, in
Yeah.
one sense, they do exist within the narrative and they do exist within the world, but at the same time, they're often also portrayed as a force rather than a person within the narrative, if that makes
That's
sense.
weird.
They're not entirely a person. They're more like a sentient force that represents the things that Toby is trying to criticize about
Yeah.
people who play games.
I mean,
without-
okay, the No Mercy route was like one of the last parts that was like added to the game, so it might have been ever so slightly rushed or ever so slightly
it was
not
planned
thought through
from-
properly.
It was planned from the
No,
start.
like
You could-
I mean, yeah, but like it was still one of the later like code wise and stuff. Maybe I'm not saying that it was like not thought through at all, but I'm just saying it's not
Well, when I think
just a
about
little rushed.
Well, no, when I think about how you would design a genocide route, I think a lot of the genocide route is kind of like it shortens the story a lot, so it makes sense to do the main path first, so the
Yeah.
neutral, the pacifist, and then go
Mhm.
back after to do the genocide route in order to know exactly where to make your cuts to the story, which
Yeah.
is what I think Toby did. But we do know that the genocide route was planned from the very beginning because I played the original demo in 2013, and
Yes.
if
I'm
you
not,
did
yeah,
the
of
geno,
course.
yeah, it even corrupted like the game manual that came with the demo, which is really funny. I don't know if anyone
Holy
else
shit.
remembers that one. Maybe I'm old, but
Yeah, but
it
what I
came-
meant was that
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I meant was that the No Mercy route was added in after neutral and pacifist.
yes, but I don't know if that means it was rushed.
I'm not saying it was all rushed and the game is bad and the story is bad. I'm just saying it might have been a little rushed and the story is ever so slightly less worse, but people still like it anyways, and I like it.
You know what? I
That's
have a
fair.
similar.
I think
I have-
people just get confused on genocide.
Yeah, I think at this point we should just kind of just accept the fact that Kara is an abstract concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that this line of discussion began because we couldn't figure out we couldn't figure out whether or not Kara is like a we couldn't
Yeah, this
break apart.
podcast is falling apart.
Yeah,
No,
let's
we couldn't- we couldn't
back on
separate-
track.
Yeah,
Does
okay.
anybody
Yeah.
want to have
Music
anything else they
minigame.
want to say about the music minigame before we go on to the next thing?
Yeah, I
The
wanted
music
to bring up.
but
Sorry.
Ralsei sings. That
Yeah,
means they
Ralsei
might
sings.
sing. Don't.
I also
that
wanted
means
to-
They might.
Oh,
Continue.
Yeah,
That means they might sing. Don't forget or something, because that's a theory.
Don't forget Rocksteady version as like the ending credits theme for chapter 3.
Mhm.
That would be interesting.
Cool.
I also
Um,
wanted to point out that like Dumba's popularity just signs in the top left and top right. Like why are they there? It's just so dumb looking in my opinion.
popularity.
Yeah.
Like why is it there? Is decoration?
It's supposed to
I
say
think so.
popularity, but
I know, yeah.
Yeah, but Rich, it's
Yeah.
like The real question, are we actually going to get characters named Papu and Larry?
So true.
Oh, and they're gonna be like the
yes.
Squid Sisters, but for Deltarune.
The two
Yes, my
musician
favorite
sisters,
Deltarune
Popu and
character.
Larity.
Yes,
Yeah.
my favorite
And yeah.
Deltarune character, fucking Larry.
And this
Larry.
minigame takes place in chapter 3.
Yes.
Yes, like Lightner's life. It's, yeah.
That's what it says in the background.
And then like we got some other screenshots like long ago from like for like chapter 3, and we saw like instruments like drums
drum
and
set,
stuff
yes.
in Castletown. So
In
Yeah, it's the same
Castletown.
sprite.
These-
Yeah.
yeah, so these will be like moved over
And
there.
and Toby did say that if you recruit a certain Darkner, that's how you get like the Color Cafe
Yeah,
band playing. So we're
cool.
probably going to have to recruit a character after this minigame, no?
Yes.
Cool.
I mean, the person
Probably.
on the screen at that point is the Shadowman, so we're going to be recording the Shadowman regardless.
That
I'm
is
not
true.
sure, but didn't he just say vaguely like, depending on certain characters, you may unlock certain things or something like that? Or am I getting it wrong?
I think so. I think that was what he said in the.
I mean, I assume the whole point is that we're going to recruit everyone because, for the best ending possible or something.
I don't know. I don't know what the idea with that is.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, you recruit more people, the Castletown gets better. If you recruit less people, it gets lamer.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well,
I just
also-
checked. It just says that if you recruit certain characters, plural, you get a new BGM for your town. So I think
Okay,
it's
so
Shadow
it's not-
Guys and something else.
Okay, this part of the podcast is over. Again, you can find a link to the playlist with the full podcast in the description of the video. So go find that in order to watch the rest of the podcast.